Hi, Christie Blatchford, courts columnist for the National Post and Post Media here. You may remember the abbreviated trial of former Afghan hostage Joshua Boyle. This trial had been scheduled, I think, to last 8 weeks, and it was ripping along at a fine pace in April sometime, when all of a sudden it stopped. And it stopped, of course, because Boyle's estranged wife, his fellow captive in Afghanistan, Caitlin Coleman, objected through her lawyer to some questioning about her sexual relationship with Boyle that the judge had approved. Anyway, there's a very complicated procedure about how you're allowed or not allowed to ask questions like this. Such evidence is generally impermissible in court unless you can pass this fairly strict test. In any case, the trial adjourned for that reason. Now, Coleman, the estranged wife, was in the middle of her cross-examination when this happened. They went through the hearing and the trial, and then her lawyer, Ian Carter, appealed to the Ontario Superior Court for an order overturning the judge's decision. So it's very interesting to me. Now, I think the trial judge, Peter Doody, certainly I have a memory of him cautioning Coleman at one point, as they caution all witnesses, that, you're in the middle of your testimony, you're not to discuss the case with anyone. Understood. So he did that at least once, and I'm just not certain if it was when the trial was interrupted or not. However, he certainly said it at some point to her, because he says it to all witnesses. And yet, this week, what I have here are a couple of stories, one from CBC and one from ABC, I believe. And they are extended interviews with Coleman, who now lives with the couple's 4 children, in the United States, where she's from. And these are extended interviews where, the interviewer is given access to take pictures of the children, usually from behind, and of Coleman herself. And what she's doing is basically discussing the entire case. She's giving her spin on it. She said at one point, I think, to the CBC interviewer, "I was more afraid of Joshua than I was of the Taliban." It wasn't the Taliban who held them captive, actually. It was the Haqqani network, but they are Taliban allies. Anyway, it's quite astonishing. I'm not sure that it's illegal, but it's certainly improper for a witness, least of all a complainant witness, to be talking about the very matters that she's testifying about. And she's not finished her testimony. She's in mid-cross-examination. The case will resume sometime once the appeal judge gives the decision, and I think the court has tentatively booked a couple of weeks in July for the resumption of the case. So I don't understand how a witness can get away merely by living in another country, which borders don't matter in the internet age, of course. Everybody reads everything from all over the world. So I don't understand how she gets away with giving her story, her version of events, on the record while the trial is ongoing. It's a really bad call and a bad look.